Good morning, Service
Good
Alliance
morning.
community. How you
Howdy.
doing, Jason?
I am I'm coming to you live from Jim Halperd's desk. So I decided to take a visit to the office and plant my flag there on Jim's desk, and so here we are. Yeah, it's a nice little light I got there. I'm missing the chain. It's a little touch lamp. So
You were missing an arm for a second there too.
and I got a weird halo effect,
Yeah, that's
live.
just because you're an angel.
It's all about the live. All about the live. Yeah, it works.
Well, I hope everybody out there had a great weekend. I had a pretty good weekend.
Yeah.
How about you? Did you have a good
Not
weekend?
bad. We had church Sunday and had several friends over Sunday night and played some card games, and it's a good day. Good day. Yeah.
Good.
Went for
Well,
a nice
today,
long motorcycle ride on Saturday over into Perryville, Missouri. There's a veterans memorial over there that if you ever get to Perryville, Missouri, you got to check it out. Guy was a Vietnam vet, and when he came back from Vietnam, he bought a bunch of farmland, and one of his dreams was to build a memorial. So it's got, an exact replica of the Vietnam Wall and several other memorials that are there in DC. And he's got a nice museum and a gift shop, and like you would never think this nice of a facility is in the middle of a cornfield in Perryville, Missouri. But it's one of 12 sites in Missouri that are geared towards veterans memorials. So, a little fun fact for you there. So, you can get a
nice.
passport and actually go to every one of them and get them stamped. So, it gives you a nice little challenge there. So, yeah,
That sounds pretty cool. I'll have to check it out sometime.
yeah, it's neat. Very, very worthwhile checking out. There's about 10 or 11 of us that rode over there. Rode about 150 miles on Saturday over to there and then back, and it's a good day. So, good weekend. You asked.
Hey, I did. Sounds great.
I don't know if you can hear the thunder. We're getting a nice big thunderstorm right now. So raining pretty good here in Southern Illinois.
It is up in Northern Illinois too.
Yeah. ChatGPT is down today. Like it's off and on. I keep it open because I use it quite a bit throughout the day. And yeah, they've got some challenges today. It's interesting.
Yeah. All tech has challenges.
Really? Nah.
Well, today we're talking about how smart companies recruit before they need people.
That we are
tackling one of the biggest blind spots in the appliance repair industry with this one. And why the strongest companies recruit before they actually need people. Not many people do this.
No.
Yeah. So
you had made mention about my hat earlier. I'm always looking for swag, and I'll represent you on here. So, Jeremy, just saying, I got your 6 as a nice hat. And I'll swap you swag too. I'll send you some of my office help swag. So I'm not just asking for handouts. I'm willing to swap here. So
I'll have to get you an amp hat.
That would be cool. Amped up. I would wear an amped up hat. Yeah.
There you go. I'll get
That'd
you
be a
one.
good one. I like it.
I'll get you a light up one, like my sign behind me.
Now we're talking. Like,
yeah, that would be
cool.
I'd
wear that. And the next PSA or ASTI that we're at, we need to share.
Yeah, you're giving me ideas, bro.
Yep.
All right. Well, if you're new here, we do Bible and business, and so we're gonna pray us in here real quick. So I'll pray us in, and you can take the verse, and then we'll get going. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for the opportunity to do this podcast, and so that we can all learn. And I pray that we reach all the people out there that need to learn about this topic, and hope that it really helps, and that your word speaks through us. And I ask that you be with all the listeners and those who watch later, and bless their business, bless their families, and bless their customers. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. What do you got for a verse today?
Well, we're going to go with Proverbs 22:29, which says, "Do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings." It's an interesting verse, that's for sure. I think a good translation for business is that excellence attracts opportunity. Excellence attracts the right employees, and excellence attracts people who want to be part of something bigger. And that your A players join A teams, and eventually the B and C players will weed themselves out. So, yeah. So let's talk about that today. And yeah, recruiting before you're desperate, I think, is another sidetrack that we can title this. How smart companies recruit before they need people. Also, recruiting before you're desperate.
Yeah. That's how most people do it, right? I've been
thunder?
there. I'm sure you guys have been there.
Can you hear the thunder?
No.
Like, it's loud. I use a app called Crisp, and it cuts out all the background noise and stuff. So, yeah, I guess it's doing a really good job today.
Oh, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, good. Okay. If you lose me, you know why now.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this reactive hiring problem that you just mentioned. Why is it that most owners only start hiring when a tech quits, or when they're booked 7 to 10 days out, or when their volume really spikes? Why is this not part of a plan? A strategic plan. We this whole month we're talking about goals, right? We talked about business planning last week, and this needs to be part of your ongoing constant plan for your business if you're looking to grow it at all. I know for me, when I really need someone, it's already too late. I should have already hired that person before I should have had the foresight to know that I'm going to need someone and hired them at that point, and then train them up so that when I absolutely need them, they're off and running. And pretty much always have hires in your back pocket. Have that list of people to recruit. There's nothing wrong with going out there and seeking someone for positions, even if you're not actively hiring at that moment. Because at least you have the resumes, and at least you've gone through some interview processes, and that when you need someone, you've got that list. You can start making phone calls and say, "Hey, are you available?" If your company is that attractive, then they're probably going to be available. They're still going to be interested, even if they do have another job. At that.
I was told one time a third of your time should be recruiting, a third of your time should be marketing, and the other third of the time is working on your business. I think it's always working on your business, but a third of your time, so a third of your day, think about that. If you just split your day up into a third of your day should be working on recruiting. That's a lot of time when you think about it.
That's a lot of time.
So I don't know. You can smell a desperate hire from across the way, and I think so can your customers. I remember many times just getting into that, man, I've got a big rewire coming up, so I'll just hire somebody off the cuff, and not really knowing their skills, but I can manage them, I can watch them, I can train them a little bit, and it just did not work. It was a nightmare. Same thing goes in the office. We get calls ramped up, and we think, all right, I need to hire somebody in the office just to answer my phones, and so you hire your neighbor's 30-year-old daughter who just needs a job and has no experience. Oh, well, it's just answering the phones, right? Wrong. It's more than that. That's like one of your first impressions for customers. So, yeah, I mean, how many
Yeah.
times have we watched? I'm guilty of this, that we've hired the wrong person because we're just drowning, right? And then we regret it 15 days later, 30 days later,
Absolutely.
the same day. Yeah.
You know, a quick little plug for a book, and I know we've mentioned this before, but it's been a long time. Tommy Mello from A1 Garage Door, he wrote a book called Elevate. I highly recommend that you go and get this book. Elevate is all about the hiring process and the ongoing recruiting process. And it's an excellent book for home services. You know, basically written for home services. So I think it's a great resource, and I just wanted to quickly mention that. So
I agree.
Understanding your capacity and how that equates so that you can predict your next hire.
That
smart companies know their numbers, and there's so many people out there in the trades that are running businesses, but they don't truly know their numbers. But once you know your numbers, you can forecast 60 or 90 or even a year or 5 years ahead. We just talked about this a lot in our mastermind this past Saturday, and it was like a 2-hour long mastermind, one of our longest ones we've done all year. And it was all about the forecasting and how do you plan ahead? How do you set your goals, set your priorities, and then reverse engineer it down? And we went over all these different numbers, and we even had one example given where we actually plugged some numbers in and, you know, identified that you know, one of the people in there, the numbers that they had zero growth built into it. They wanted to grow, but they didn't realize what it would actually take to grow and how much their numbers needed to change. And, you know, the person that we were talking with, they know their numbers, they know them well, and they do a great job at that. And, you know, we asked some questions, boom, they pulled the numbers right up and, you know, had accurate numbers. But unless you actually know those and that you can actually take them and put them together, then you're not going to know how much you can grow and what you need to tweak in order to afford to grow.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, whether it's a CSR or, you know, a tech, you know, any hire for your business, you need to build in your pricing to be able to afford those people and grow into that that next hire.
Yeah.
And when your team is constantly running at 80% plus capacity, you're already late on your next hire. So always be recruiting now. It's the best way that you can sustain yourself when you do need somebody, and knowing those numbers is a huge thing.
I concur.
That gets us into our next point about always be recruiting. What about always being selective?
Mm-hmm.
How selective should we be? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, you hire the best when you're not desperate, right? You hire whatever you can get when you're drowning. So it's not an event, it's a rhythm. We used to have hiring events where we would have a bunch of people come at the same time. And this was something that we had a business coach teach us. And I don't know, there was goods and bads about it, but the big thing is that I think smart companies will keep, we'll call it a bench. Your bench includes past candidates that you like, apprentices that are being developed, people applying even when no job is posted. That's a big one. You have people that are interested in your company, even if you don't have a job posted. What are you doing with those people? Don't toss them to the side. Don't throw them away. Yeah, I would love to have a conversation with you. It's always be recruiting, right? ABC, that's another one. ABC. As always be closing. I don't like that one. Always be connecting is a word I like to use, and you'll hear me say quite often. But yeah, so always be connecting, but always be recruiting. A, B, it's R, not C.
So I love that you said always be connecting, because
yeah,
I can tell you from my own experience, as well as a lot of other people that I've talked to,
yeah,
the best hires come within your network.
yep,
And you could post something on Facebook or IG or TikTok, whatever platforms you use. Go out and just ask people, who in my network knows a great candidate for this position? And you'd be amazed at how many referrals you will get. I mean, you see people coming out of the woodwork that you never thought that they'd be able to connect you with somebody
yeah.
that normally you wouldn't get.
Another big one is people watch your culture. I've with the electrical business, one of my best hires I ever had came from another company, and he's like, and the whole point, he came to me. I never poached. I never liked doing that kind of stuff. But he came to me and he's like, man, I see you. I see your company. I've talked to a couple of your other guys. Sorry. And he goes, I just love the culture that you have here. I'd like to talk to you about maybe coming over and working with you. And so he was one of my best hires because he saw the culture. And it's the same thing in your office today. You know, we try to create a really good culture in our business between our team members. So people watch, that's for sure. It gives, all these things we're talking about, it gives them a choice. Instead of panicking, panic hire, we've heard that before. It gives you choices, right? Those past candidates, the apprentices, people applying when no job is posted, like I mentioned. So, yeah, like I said, you hire best when you're not desperate.
Yeah, you should always have your pipeline full.
Yeah,
with the right people.
So, do you have a weekly recruiting routine, Mike?
I do not. I honestly can say I do not.
I would agree. I'm there with you.
And I probably should. I'd say I have a bi-monthly recruiting routine. I definitely don't do it on a monthly basis. It's probably, every 2 months, maybe 3 months. So I'm doing it multiple times a year, but I'm not waiting until I need somebody. I'm not waiting until I'm banging my head up against the wall, or I'm so stressed out, to where I'm just going to grab a warm body, because I've been in that situation before. It is a nightmare, and you hire all the wrong people, and it just adds more stress to your life. So, even within my current team, I'll ask them, hey, do you have anybody in your network? It's not just, I guess, your internet friends online. It's who in your current team knows somebody. There's a lot of people in my industry that, and I guess this could work if you're good with your competitors. Okay. In my industry, we network with each other, and, it's a little easier for us since we can hire virtual, but we'll ask each other, hey, does anybody have a team member that's really good at this role that you don't need, or that you've already interviewed that would make a good fit, but you didn't need them, or something like that, to that effect. And we'll get referrals all the time. And I think it's great. just because they're not a fit for company B doesn't mean that they're not good for company A. And they might just be a better fit for you than they were for somebody else. And or maybe the other company just wasn't in the right place to hire that person, but they were a good A or B player, you know, and they could say, hey, I interviewed this guy, I thought he was great, but I just wasn't in the right place. It wasn't the right fit for either of us, but you know, I'd love to have this guy, but I'm just not there yet. Maybe you should give him a call. You know, if you're networking with your competition and you're friends with your competition, it's a great way to find people. You know, and it's a great way to have warnings about certain people too, who not to hire. So it goes both ways. But if you're going to do this, you need to look ahead, have all your job information ready to go, review your pipeline, check for the new applicants, you know, message people that, you know, message just your top 3 candidates, you know, feel people out. Think about who you may have interviewed before. Maybe they're still seeking. Maybe they're not happy with who they went with, and you might be able to reach out to them and say, hey, I really liked you a year ago when I interviewed you or talked to you. Are you interested in reconsidering? You know, maybe we can talk again. Maybe your CSR knows somebody. You know, there's so many people out there that are looking for opportunities that you can even train and bring up. And I think using that network will really, really surprise you on what you can find and the quality of person that you can find. Yeah. So consistency removes the desperation from the hiring process, for sure.
Yep. Consistency is what I heard you in that entire conversation there. Consistency beats chaos. That's for sure.
Yeah. Discipline. You got to be disciplined in order to do that consistency. So what should your hiring funnel look like?
Well, a good example of a hiring funnel, top of your funnel is attraction. Always active job ads, your social media content, you know, posting fun pictures, culture pictures, referral incentives. You know, look at ways that you can incentivize team members or people. Hey, we're looking for a new top tech ad or something along those lines. And hey, the person that refers us the top tech we hire will get $250 or something along those lines. Make it something that's of value. That's the way I see it. Don't make it something that's like, we're going to give you a $50 gift card. Some people may like that, but if you put out there $200-300, that's substantial. People are going to be like, oh, I know a guy, I think, and you're going to get better quality referrals, in my opinion. You know, talk with local places that have apprenticeships. Your colleges are a great source for apprentices that you can potentially hire on. Some high schools have electronics classes as well. So in the appliance repair world, getting into those electronics classes, we did that with the electrical business, got into the electronics classes, got into John A. here had a buildings, a whole aspect of construction that was great for us to get in with, especially with heating and air. Have a career page or a specific career page on your website that talks about different careers. Make sure you got photos of, you know, like your teams or, you know, specific pictures. It's always inviting, right? So you've got that attraction, right? And then the attraction funnel comes down to the middle, which is your filtering. So then you're looking for like simple application questions, maybe a small skills test of some form, and then like culture fit questions. Are they even going to be a good fit culture wise? And that's where, you know, we've talked about Kajabi, and then like we had used DISC a lot for assessments.
Colby assessments.
Yeah. I don't know what Kajabi is, but I'm going to be Googling that later. So you got your filtering. So you got attraction, filtering, and then your next level of your funnel is your selection. So again, getting back to application questions, what are you going to ask them in that, over the phone interview or in that in-person interview? And then I always like to have other team members sit in on the interviews and ask questions too, because then you're not just getting your opinion, you're getting opinion of other team members that will be working with that person, be it in the office, be it out in the field. So
or training that person.
My second interviews always came with a ride along. I would always put them in the truck with me, and they'd come ride along with me for at least 1 or 2 calls. I would try to get at least 2 calls in for the day when they were riding along with me. I'd go buy them lunch. We'd talk. If you're going to be in a truck, or if you're going to potentially have somebody with you or in your business, I want to get along with them, right? And I think a perfect way to do that is a ride along. See if the culture is going to fit. If you got pre-built like scorecards and stuff that you can score them on, there's all kinds of ways you can do that. But and then I think one area where a lot of companies fail is they don't have an onboarding plan. I worked with a plumbing company here locally that had a great 2-month onboarding plan. And so they did all residential service. And so in 2 months' time, once they hired on a new apprentice, that apprentice should be able to do everything that a normal technician can do. But they are riding along with that technician every day. The technician is showing them, this is how our company does this. This is how our company does that. And then, it was a checklist. And the main tech that he was riding along with, he would check off, okay, well, today you changed out a water spigot, right? That was one of your items. Today you changed out a toilet, right? Different things that they would do on a regular basis. So think about that in your appliance repair world. Think about that as an electrician, heating and air, hiring a CSR. What are those plans that you have to get them up to par to what you and your business are wanting and needing out of them, right? And make a plan out of it. So I think hiring becomes easy when the system does the sorting instead of you. And that's where having this funnel, right, to get down to these candidates that are going to be the ones you want to hire. So,
yeah. So why do you think the really, really good techs out there, right? They're not looking for a job because they already have a job.
Yeah.
But how do you get them to notice you? How do you get them to want to move from where they're at to where you want to be?
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned, one tech a while ago was all about, he saw our culture. And, we had a really great brand. I've always been heavy into branding. So to grab those A players, and I hate to say, you think of the word poaching or whatever, but I, again, didn't approach them. I made sure that, it's like when I say my prayers, above all else, I pray that people see God's love through my actions, right? And it's the same thing. Hey, above all else, I hope people see our culture through our actions, right? Focuses, your core purposes, your core values. And you hope that they see those core values and how you are acting and how you're treating customers, even down to your vendors, right? I don't want to say down to your vendors, because to me, vendors are right there. I mean, you got your clients, you got your techs, and you got your vendors, man. Without them, you don't have a business. So they're all important to me. But, it's they watch you. They watch how you walk. They watch how you talk. They know if you're legit or not. I mean, techs are smart, man. They can call BS pretty darn quick.
And they talk to each other.
Yeah, 100%.
Good techs talk to other good techs.
XYZ Heating and Air Company, they're a bunch of shysters. I wouldn't ever want to work for them. I can't believe you're working with. Yeah, that's the kind of talk that goes on at the shop. You go in the vendor store.
I mean, it's the flip side to that too. They talk about who they want to work for, or who would be a good company to work for.
Man, do you see Chris working for that exterminating company? Man, he looks happy all the time. He says he's making good money. He's got a nice truck to drive. I think I want to go work for them. That's the kind of stuff you want to be known for, right?
Exactly.
They treat their customers right. That's another one I love to hear.
Where can you get these people at? Apprenticeships are a great way to obviously grow somebody from scratch. Obviously, you can mold them. They're a little easier. They're not set in their ways. But it takes longer. Obviously, but if you can get them from a good trade school, and this is something that I want to put out there as a possibility, because we saw them. They had a booth at PSA, and that's SkillCat. They've got their RCAT program, and basically what they do is they network with all these colleges and schools across the country, help them set up curriculum for appliance repair training programs. And they've got a really solid system, it seems like. And if you could reach out to, depending on where you're located, obviously, but if you reached out to SkillCat and said, who in my area, what schools in my area do you have programs with? And I want, because I want to go attract people that are coming out of that program, into my business. And that's one great way to recruit. Look at your local tech schools, if there's anything like that. You could work with a lot of different, local colleges, junior colleges, and things of those natures. It doesn't always have to be the actual, big name appliance repair training companies out there, that are scattered across the country, but that's how you can get more localized people.
I don't remember talking to SkillCat. It's skillcatapp.com? Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, they were where your booth was. They were kind of along the back wall, just to your left.
Huh.
So they weren't that far away from your booth.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. A lot of online classes as well. So
yeah,
very interesting.
Yeah,
all right, I might have to reach out to them.
They seem like a pretty solid company.
Yeah. I mean, they've got a lot of different courses: electricians, painters, plumbers, commercial driving, get your NATE certifications, EPA certifications, all kinds of stuff. So, interesting.
Yeah, you might get some leads through, or some leads to other recruiting opportunities in your area.
Oh yeah,
just something to think about.
Yep. Very cool.
All right.
Well, I think I know we're getting ready to wrap up here. So, tracking your metrics, running ads. If you won't run ads without metrics, why would you recruit without them? So, you got to be looking at your KPIs. KPIs for everything in business. So, KPIs goes for recruiting as well. Your cost per applicant, your cost per interview, your cost per hire, the 90-day quality of hire. It's not just about customer acquisitions. It's recruiting is also for employees. So think about those KPIs for your recruiting as well. I don't think hiring should ever be a reaction. I think that's this overall view of what we're talking about today, right? It's your rhythm. It should be a good rhythm. So when you build a recruiting pipeline, that funnel that we talked about that runs every day of the year, you protect your culture, your revenue, and ultimately your sanity. So, yeah.
Yeah, if you're not tracking what channels you're getting the best applicants from, then you're not going to know where you should target the next time. Where money and time is wasted. If you're posting on LinkedIn or LinkedIn jobs, something like that, and it's not bringing you quality people, why would you keep throwing your time and energy or money towards that? So I would definitely cast a wide net in the beginning, and then just track where quality candidates come from. Where are the best people coming from, the best resumes and interviews happening. So far,
sure.
Final takeaway. Hiring should not be a reaction. It should be a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that a lot. When you build a permanent recruiting pipeline, you protect your culture, your growth, and your revenue. And smart companies don't wait until they're desperate. They build a bench.
Yep.
And then they put cheeks and seats on that bench and have them lined up until it's their time to bat.
Cheeks and seats. Interesting.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, and share. Pay the fee.
Pay the fee. It's free to pay the fee.
And if you need any help from Jason or I with marketing, getting things like this set up, you need any help from Jason over at My Office Help, feel free to reach out to either one of us, and we'd be happy to help you. All right. Everybody have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Morning Grind podcast by Service Alliance Group. Subscribe to our channel and make sure you visit our website at servicealliancegroup.com for appliance repair business resources.